Let's start with you, Charlene. When we talk about the blockchain and what opportunities are there for what opportunities do you see in the blockchain conversation?
We're essentially a pan-African provider of treasury solutions, primarily for businesses in Nigeria, which is our largest market by far, but also Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Senegal, and the DRC. So although BIT is very much in our name, we're actually digital currency agnostic. So we use Bitcoin as a token of settlement to significantly lower the cost and increase the speed of cross-border payments. So to answer your question, we see the opportunity of blockchain technology in the ability to increase efficiency in highly inefficient markets. So what we find is there's a huge dependency on the US dollar in emerging markets. You Nigerians know better than anyone else how the US dollar and the dependency on it creates disruption in business.
I want to ask the gentleman, Lucky Owokwe, who's also has a blockchain solutions operating from a within Nigerian environment. And I'm not sure how long you've been in business, but at least what have you learned? What are the things that are emerging that you see using the blockchain solutions in an environment such as ours?
Actually, when you talk about blockchain, especially in Nigeria, a lot of times we just limit our mindset to digital currency. Anytime you just mention blockchain, the next thing they just tell you is, oh, all those Bitcoin people. Blockchain have actually evolved much beyond cryptocurrency, like she earlier showed us in her slide. There are like 4 generations of DLT, and blockchain is just one example of a distributed ledger technology. Today we're at even the 4th generations, where we're talking about hash graph, gossip of gossip as an algorithm. I know a lot of us don't even know there is something called hash graph. They're quite a use case for the technology itself, but right now, at this point in time, Nigerians are more focused on that aspect that has to do with money. A lot of us who buy Bitcoin are buying it for speculative purpose, on the grounds that if the price goes up, they liquidate or sell it and then take their profits. For us as a company, yes, we won't deny clients that aspect of it, but we know there are more use cases beyond digital currency itself. And about 4 days ago, I think I had an interview with Bloomberg Television. It was published on their website about digital currency ecosystem. And hopefully next week, I'll be having another interview with Cointelegraph. They are looking at Nigeria as a huge market. I know sometimes in 2016, Nigeria used to trade somewhere around $300,000 a week, but as of last year, November, we were doing even as high as close to $20 million. That's if you combine all the exchanges like BitPesa, Luno, Remitano, Paxful, local Bitcoin, and so many others, alongside with other people who do peer-to-peer system. That's those ones that are off the radars from the eye of the government or the authorities. These are quite huge, because if we look at the volume of trade we do currently in this country, it's, when I put it on a monthly basis, it's quite enough to run some states currently as we speak. The amount of money Nigerians are engaging in terms of buying and selling digital currencies. Mind you, it's not only Bitcoin that people are buying right now. There are other cryptocurrencies which they are buying. The volumes we do Nigerians are doing right now, they are so huge that they can even run some states in the country for an entire month.
Bolaji, you folks are the guys are the asset managers now for the blockchain. So, who should we focus on? The guys who want to trade for speculative purposes, or we should use blockchain as a game changer for businesses, for trade, whatever, trade finance and things like that?
First of all, what everybody has to know, I'm not sure everyone is clear on this. cryptocurrency and blockchain is not MMM. It's not a Ponzi scheme. You don't have to bring your friends and family to register. It's not a multi-level marketing program. No, not at all. These are digital assets based on distributed ledger system. So if you want to understand what a distributed ledger system, think about MasterCard or Visa network. It's a payment network. So essentially it's owned by a company and shareholders. So for every transaction, there's a fee. The card owner pays and the merchant pays. And that fee, after the issuing bank and all the other parties involved take their cut, there's a profit going to MasterCard or Visa, and then eventually to the shareholders. In a similar way, the blockchain network has what you call miners. The miners are the ones that make the network possible. So they process transactions, and it's a global network. So unlike Visa and MasterCard, it is decentralized. It is not owned by one particular organization or government. We know that it is possible for an organization or government to be corrupt, or for them to cook the books. We've had the Enrons, we've had the oceanic banks, and many, we've had the Zimbabwe, Argentina, and so on and so forth. So the whole concept is, you once talked about not knowing who you're dealing with. The blockchain code, Bitcoin code is published. So it's not secret what the software is doing. Anybody can study it.
So, in the Nigerian context, how do you think we should proceed from this revolution that is now at our doorstep? We have this baby at our doorstep, so we need to take care of it. Should we leave it outside the doorstep, or we should bring it in? And if we bring it in, what are we scared of? Whether this baby will become either a monster or benefit.
To talk a little bit about the blockchain, you have two different types of blockchains. You have the permission blockchains and the permissionless blockchains. So when you're talking about the cryptocurrencies, we're talking about the permissionless blockchains. So this means that anybody and everybody has access to these blockchains. But we are focusing more on the permissioned blockchains within the formal structure. So BAM, Blockchain Asset Management, is the foremost, we're the only company who is registered as an Oracle blockchain partner in the whole of Africa. So we see there is an enormous opportunity that everybody is letting go by right now because we're focused on the cryptocurrencies and the regulation around the cryptocurrencies. Like if you look at the chart that my colleague puts up there were two first sections, which was the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies. And then there were like 15 other segments. We deal with the 15 other segments. So if we can bring that chart back up, we actually have use cases in each of those segments. We're currently implementing a blockchain solution for a government parastatal, and it's one of the biggest government parastatals in Nigeria today.
That's not the NNPC?
No, it's not NNPC.
Okay, let's go.
It's not NNPC. It's actually, it's one of these parastatals that we overlook, and it's actually bigger than NNPC. So, and what I'm trying to say is, we are actively implementing use cases as we are today. So if I now want to bring this back to the financial institution, because it's a fintech organization, I can give you some particular use cases within the fintech space. So like for instance, there was the panel before us, they were talking about financial inclusion. Now, one of the biggest challenges so there's this thing, everybody talks about banking the unbanked. One of the first problem you have when you try to bank the so-called unbanked people is a means of identifying them. That is the number one problem you have. So most of them don't have the formal documents that you need to register these people within the formal sector. But everybody has a fingerprint. Everybody has an iris scan. Everybody has a unique identifier that can identify them as an individual. Why not use that as your identifying point? So if I'm able to give you a system where I can put everybody's fingerprints, everybody's iris scan and everything onto an irrefutable platform, which is the blockchain, then you have a winner there. We are already doing it in Nigeria, but we're not using it for that purpose because you have a Nigerian passport, you have your fingerprints on there. I think they're taking iris scans and things like, with a British passport, you have to do an iris scan. That is a massive database that is out there waiting to be tapped.
Experiences, sub-Saharan Africa, a few countries, they just spoke about doing a few things, blockchain with the government. Is this something that governments and sovereigns across the continent are beginning to feel a little bit comfortable with? Do they see it as a game changer, as a revolution that they need to embrace and very quickly sit every one of you in the room and say quickly, what do you guys know and how can we leverage it?
We've had a very positive experience with regulators in all of the markets where we've operated, including Nigeria. And I think to echo my colleague's point, it is important to differentiate between the platform as a technology and the cryptocurrency, although they're very intertwined. So the kinds of conversations we have are really about even if you can't control and sort of regulate the cryptocurrency itself, you can certainly regulate the companies that are using that technology, whether it's cryptocurrency related or whether it's blockchain related. So for example, BitPesa is not a wallet service, but there are companies like Luno, which was mentioned, that are wallet services. They are holding customer funds. So maybe you could adapt regulation like the e-money license to encompass companies like that. Then I totally agree. Stop Ponzi schemes like MMM Global, OneCoin, that should be off the table. That should just be plain illegal or treated the same way as gambling and Ponzi schemes. And then finally, our company we consider to be more of a payment processor or a treasury solution provider. We don't hold customer funds. We're not trying to be a bank. We don't take deposits, but we're happy to be regulated under like the PSSP licensing or the payment services, which is what it's called in other jurisdictions. So I think there is excitement. Every central bank, I had a slide somewhere that says that basically over 90 central banks are looking at digital currency and blockchain technology. And although only a few have actually put out regulation, we're very optimistic that it's to come. And we expect that the sub-Saharan African regions, both in West Africa and East Africa, will be the first to make formal policies.